Alright, it's that time. It is time for me to give my opinion on what has become a very divisive game, that being Gotham Knights. Came out on the 21st of October. It is the 23rd now, I think? 22nd, 23rd? I've not been keeping track, so if I'm wrong, then, whatever. And this game, like I said, has been super divisive. Unfortunately, it's getting a ton of hate. I don't think all of it's unwarranted. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of criticisms being laid against this game that I totally agree with. Some of those being bad performance on PC, not having a 60 FPS performance mode on console, having the Nouveau anti-tamper, which is just bad. I mean, it's got a multiplayer component to it, so I guess I understand a little bit, but the Nouveau has only proven itself to be bad for performance, unfortunately, and Resident Evil Village proved that. That game had terrible performance issues on tons of PCs because of the de Nouveau. And with that being said, the game also crashes. I've had it crash for me multiple times. Most of them were caused from having ray tracing enabled. I have an RX 6600 in my computer. That's my graphics card with 8 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM. More than capable, you would think, to run any game at 1080p high settings, 60 FPS. But this game does not lock to 60. However, I got rid of the crashing, like I said, by disabling ray tracing. And we added a launch option here in our Steam that totally improves the performance of this game. And to do this, you want to right-click on Gotham Knights, click on Properties, and go to General here. And you want to add Dash Force Dash D3D11. And this forces the game to run in DirectX 11 mode, and it does improve the frame rate quite drastically. I'm no longer running at 30 FPS constantly in the open world, and now it's more like 45 to 60. So I would definitely recommend turning that on. I don't know why all of these games are shipping with DirectX 12, and they all suck and don't perform well, but I would totally recommend enabling that. That has taken care of a lot of the performance issues that I've had. But we are screen recording right now. I figured that I would just jump in, play the game a little bit, talk about some things that I like, some things that I dislike. And I guess we'll set up our graphics here to look as pretty as possible. We're playing at 1080p with VSync enabled. I'm doing that for the sake of, well, performance, basically. Don't want to go above that necessarily because my TV's only 60 Hz anyway, so no reason for it. And we've got field of view set to 80. Ray tracing is off, motion blur is off, ambient occlusion is on, bloom is on, chromatic aberration and depth of field are off, and we are going to set this to high. Everything on high. Click V, click yes. So, Gotham Knights, super divisive. Let's load into my save here, about 12 hours in, and I guess what I'll do is immediately talk about the things that I don't like. The game does not run as well as it should. I already mentioned that a couple minutes ago. That's been one big gripe that a lot of people have had with the game. A lot better in DirectX 11. Like I said, this would not be hitting 60 FPS without that in the launch options. And on top of that, well, this totally due to the fact that the game was running so poorly in DirectX 12 mode. I had to cap my frame rate to 30 to have an enjoyable experience. The game was not very fun. Let's put it that way, with the drops from 80 FPS to 29, sometimes 27. It was really bad, yeah. So the frame rate having to be capped to deliver a consistent experience was bothersome, and the fact that the game is just totally unoptimized on DirectX 12. That, and not having gliding unlocked from the get-go, were my biggest issues with this game. Performance should be better, and for some reason, you have to do challenges around the city, tasks, to unlock gliding. By gliding, of course, I mean flying around like Batman. So, I fully expected this game to be different from the Arkham games. I wanted that, personally. I've had my fill of the Arkham games. I love them. I've played them so much since I was 10, 11 years old, starting off with Arkham Asylum, getting City the day that it came out, trading in all of my GameCube games, like 20 of them. Got enough trading credit to get Arkham City. I have such a long history with these games. I've beaten them all, especially Arkham Asylum and City. over and over again. So when this game was announced, I had been already looking up leaks and rumors before this game was ever announced. I knew that it was going to have something to do with the Court of Owls, that it was a Batman game, stuff like that. So I kept track, and I was very excited. And I'm not gonna lie, for 2 years since 2020, I thought that this was going to be like the Arkham games, but not an Arkham game. It's going to take place in its own universe. Until about a month or two ago, when all of the gameplay videos and systems explained stuff, and all of the IGN posted videos from the developers and stuff, they started describing what this game is really like, and I was like, okay, that's not what it is. And I very quickly came to peace with that and actually got psyched for it to be different. So that is another major criticism that I see people talking about, is this is not the game that they expected or the game that they wanted. And unfortunately, if you're in that camp, I totally get being disappointed. I felt the same way when Sekiro came out. I thought it was going to be Dark Souls 4. Similarly to Elden Ring when it came out, I was like, okay, this will finally be the spiritual successor to Dark Souls that I was waiting for. But they both disappointed me in their own ways. But I came to accept that. It's just with this game, I accepted it before it came out. So I was excited for the new systems. I still think it's really silly that you have to do these challenges over here. I don't know if I have any as her anymore, but it's called Night Challenges or something like that. Night, spelled K-N-I-G-H-T. That could be totally wrong, but I think that's what it's called. And the game will tell you that you should do them, by the way. So if I'm wrong, if you play the game, you'll see what I'm talking about. You have to do those. I had to... Okay, I did some of them while I was playing. But I had to go back and do the one where I had to stop 10 crimes from happening. Which is really cool. I actually really enjoyed the quest, don't get me wrong. I thought it was neat. The concept of stopping a crime before it has taken place. I don't know if it really matters. Like, do they actually progress? Probably not, I don't know, but it's cool to think that that's what you're doing. So, I really enjoyed that. And thankfully, I am not on the fence with the combat whatsoever. Also, you can just run into people in this game. It's pretty crazy. But I actually really like the combat. I think it's a refreshing spin on the Arkham combat. And when I say a spin, I mean it's very similar, but it's similar in a completely different way. Like, you still are hitting people and dodging, right? But you're not like how do I explain it? You're not parrying their attacks or deflecting them, basically. I guess the best way I can describe it. You know, you can counter-attack, that's what it is. In this game, you don't really do that. In this game, you dodge, more similarly to Dark Souls or some of the Assassin's Creed games, stuff like that. And I liked it. I really do. I'm perfectly happy with the combat. I think that there is enough variety to keep it from going old. Maybe after 50 hours, it could become stagnant, but I'm just not the kind of person that's been bothered by it. I really enjoy it so far. And to touch on some other things I like the Bat Cycle. I think that Gotham looks beautiful. I mean, I love the way Gotham looks in this game. And you know, I love Arkham Knight as well. I think that it is a great game, and its version of Gotham is very good, but this is just so refreshing to me. I didn't want the same Gotham, and I got what I wanted, and I love the colors. The map does feel big, kind of, when you're riding through it, but it's... I don't know, then you actually look at the map, and it doesn't feel big, if that makes any sense. I feel like maybe the map could have been a little bigger. It does feel a little small compared to what we used to have, but traversal is perfectly good. Once you unlock the flying, which I would recommend you rush as soon as possible to get the gliding capability. Once you have that, you've got fast travel, which you get this machine from Lucius Fox that allows you to basically fast travel to multiple points in the city. You've got the Bat Cycle, which is terrific. It's very fun to control. Not quite GTA 5 levels of driving or anything like that, but it's much better than the average Ubisoft game, I'd have to say. Which is saying a lot, because those games have some pretty dodgy driving. And you can, like, wheelie over obstacles and stuff. I have to admit that that was a little off-putting at first. I was like, this is kind of strange. I was not expecting to wheelie over things. But it totally makes the driving fun. You can do some crazy stuff, end up on the rooftops and stuff. I really enjoy that aspect of the game. And what else? I like the combat, I like the driving, I love the way Gotham looks. Oh, I also love the story. I think that the whole Court of Owls thing is being done very well. It's held me in its suspense. I keep wanting to know what's happening next. It has driven me to want to play the story. Oh, it's a perfect opportunity to show some combat. But the story has kept me super interested. I want to see what happens next. I can't wait to see what the twists and turns are. I'm super, super excited for that. And I just love this game's take on the characters. I think they all look really cool. They look way different than I was expecting. The voice acting's pretty good. I will say sometimes Batgirl sounds a little cheesy, but other than that, I think they all sound really good. You're not going to get the same level of voice acting as in the Arkham games, of course, but I don't really think this game is going for that same serious tone, so that doesn't really bother me that much. It's a very comic booky for a very comic book looking game, if that makes any sense. Very colorful, reminds me of a comic book. So yeah, the story's great. Sorry if I seem a little disheveled, by the way. I'm really bad at talking and trying to explain things and doing things, but I want to get used to this because I would love to do this type of content on my YouTube channel, so sorry if I seem a little disheveled, but to get back to the topic on hand, we've covered the story, the traversal's good, the graphics I love, the performance is much better on DirectX 11 mode. Like I said, don't play this with DX12. Or, okay, I'm not going to tell you not to play with DX12, just test it and see if DirectX 11 works better for you. That might solve some of your performance issues. And I guess the only other thing right now, well, before I cover the combat, we can speak about the variety of the missions. I love how in this game you can just have a conversation with a penguin. I love the detective work. It's nothing like it was in the Arkham games, except for like scanning stuff. That is kind of similar. So keeping that in mind, though, you basically get like this. Reminds me of like the Nancy Drew stuff, if that makes any sense. The point-and-click titles, where you'll just move your mouse cursor around the screen, you'll find items of interest, and you have to like connect them. And I think that that's a really cool aspect of this game. Sorry, I had to turn my alarm off. That's why I jumped up here to get out of combat. So that's cool, and I love the mission variety. You go way deep underground in certain levels, some of the Court of Owls stuff, and sometimes you're going really high up in the air on top of buildings, stopping thugs from killing a bunch of civilians with bombs strapped to the chest, stuff like that. So the variety is very good, in my opinion, so far. Like I said, I'm only 12 hours in, so that could change. And with all of that being said, now we can get to the combat. Maybe I should have started talking about the combat before all of that, but I wanted to get all that out of the way. The combat is very simple. I think that it is slightly difficult. Sometimes the dodge timing is hard for me to get down. I was playing through the game on hard difficulty. I would not recommend doing that. I would recommend doing it on normal, your first playthrough, because the enemies are so tanky on hard that it just makes the game not fun. I was actually really worried after about 3-4 hours that the game was just going to be a slog and terrible to play through because the combat was so long-winded, because the enemies just took so much damage, and they still can be a little tanky, but we can kick their butts way faster now. So I would recommend definitely playing on normal mode for your first time, unless you just know how to make the game your, I don't know, service to you. And yeah, the combat's simple, very simple, but I like it. And the reason I like it is mostly because of this mechanic where you time your attacks. I think that that's very rewarding. I love how you can grab enemies once you get their health down a certain amount. If you look at the bottom right hand corner of the screen there, we have some of these other attacks. Press 1 and we go into beatdown mode. Didn't really matter there because that dude was at 0 health, but that's how you spice up the combat in this game. In the Batman Arkham games, it was more like, okay, you attack and then you counterattack. And sometimes you throw your gadgets in there, but in this game, you attack, you dodge, you can counterattack with certain upgrades, like the beatdown mechanic. If you're coming up against one of the heavy enemies, you can actually use beatdown and it will push right through their thing and basically give you like a counterattack. So that's cool, and then you've got the Batarang one, and every character's got their own unique combat style, by the way. I've only played Batgirl, so I cannot speak for anybody else. This review so far, or first thoughts, is purely from the perspective of somebody that's only played as Batgirl. So keep that in mind. I don't know about the other characters. They seem cool, though. I played as Red Hood for about 2 minutes, and I drove around showing my brother-in-law what his cycle looked like, stuff like that. Other than that, no idea. So with all of that being said, it's like the 10th time I've said that. Oh, holy, what the heck? Did I actually glide up? Wait a second. Am I learning something new? You can! Okay, I thought that the gliding had been nerfed in this game. I didn't know that. This is so weird. It doesn't aim with the mouse like it does in the Arkham game, so I didn't know I had to press S on the keyboard to fly back up. Okay, well that already improves my opinion quite a bit. So now the gliding is just as good as it was in those games, in my opinion. I like the new combat system. I love Gotham. I love how the streets feel lived in. I love the mission variety. I love the characters in the story. I just all around think this game's great. The only real issue that I have is, like I said, gliding is not unlocked out of the gate, and the performance leaves a lot to be desired, even on PC. Like I said, I have an RX 6600 GPU. I can play every game in my Steam library at a solid 60 plus FPS at 1080p high, a lot of them at over 100 FPS. I mean, there's really no reason that this should be running as poorly as it is, especially considering I also have a Ryzen 7 5700G 8-core 16-thread CPU. I'm rocking 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, two 8GB modules running at 3200 megahertz, so it's fast. Not as fast as it could be, but pretty fast. And we're playing this game off of a 512 gigabyte NVMe boot drive that my Windows 11 is installed on. I have the latest graphics driver. I have the latest version of Windows 11. It's totally updated. Everything like that is set up. I mean, I'm literally playing the game under the best possible conditions, and even with DirectX 11, the performance is still not perfect. A lot better, though. I will say that is definitely better. So, I guess my closing thoughts would be, if you are expecting something that feels like a spiritual successor to Arkham Knight, City, Origins, and Asylum, or maybe something that feels more like a sequel, you're probably going to hate this game. It's nothing at all like people expect it to be. And you know what? I think that that's okay. And I totally respect the people that... Hey everyone, sorry to cut in here, kind of the end of the point that I was making. But my microphone, for some reason, like turned itself totally off in the source file. It was unlistenable, and by unlistenable I mean literally you couldn't hear anything. So listening would have been an impossibility. But my closing thoughts were more or less, I really like the game so far with 12 hours. That could change, like I said. I'm going to do a full review once I've beaten the game. But these are just my first impressions. 12 hours worth of first impressions. And if you guys don't like the game, I totally respect that also. Whatever we all feel, though, let's try to engage in positivity and just spread positivity in the comment sections of any reviews for these games. Let's have good conversations with people. Let's try to lighten up the comment sections, if you will. Just kind of make them a little brighter, because, man, the vitriol that I've seen for this game is just absolutely overwhelming, almost. It's just, I don't really follow new video games like this, so it's surprising to me when this type of thing happens, especially when I love it so much, I'm having such a good time, then I see, wow, a lot of people don't feel that way. So try to spread some positivity. If you like the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and let me know what you think. If you have any video ideas or games that you would like for me to review, or maybe do tests in Linux, or maybe some other things, I would love to do that. And turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. And I will see you all very soon with a full review as soon as I have completed the game. So, hope you all have a great day, and I will see you soon.